Assalamu alaikum, girls. The poem that we'd be doing today is The Man He Killed by Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy, we've done a poem by him before as well. Like I told you even before in my previous lectures, that Thomas Hardy was a renowned novelist and a poet, but he's predominantly known more as a novelist. But then again, we're doing this short poem of his today. However, the poem is short, but there's a deep underlying meaning to the whole poem. This poem, girls, that we'd be doing today is a narrative poem. एक certain domain है narrative in the sense that there is a sequence of action that is being talked about. That generally narrative refers to a poem, etc., in which there is a certain story to it. However, in this, it's not exactly a story, but there are certain sequence of events that have been talked about, and it is a narrative poem about the war and enmity between two countries without any reason. So जब आप इसकी हम thematic इसका analysis करेंगे towards the end of the lecture, you would know that this is the central theme, that why enmity होती है, दुश्मनी होती है between two people and two countries, generally without any rhyme or any solid reason. So this poem, girls, was first published in 1902 in Harper's Weekly, and it speaks of the nature of war and destruction. And of course, at the end of the day, when two people who can generally be in any circumstances be very good friends with one another, when they're made to stand face to face in war, they become enemies. यानी कि जो दो लोग हैं जिनकी आम सिनारियो के अंदर शायद बहुत अच्छी दोस्ती भी हो सकती है, if they meet at a restaurant, if they meet somewhere at a cafe, etc., they can be good friends. But in war, because जब हम face to face किसी के across आते हैं, we don't know the other person, and because we're fighting for one reason or the other, we sort of, when come face to face in the war, we end up killing the other person without actually knowing them. So the whole poem is about the brutality of war, how inhuman the whole idea of war can be. I'd go line by line so that you have a clearer idea about what the poem is all about. It says, had he and I but met by some old ancient inn, we should have sat us down to wet right many a nipperkin. So over here, now the poet is saying that had he here refers to the one person that he ends up killing. So he's saying that agar मैं और मेरा friend, मैं or this one particular person, sorry, that I came across at an inn. Inn means, again, old English ka word hai. Inn means a certain resting place, a restaurant, a place where people get together. So he's saying agar kisi purane some a public place where agar मैं and this one person met, then we could easily sit down to have a drink together. Sat us down to wet means we could actually sit down and have a drink together. Right many a nipperkin, and nipperkin means a container for a drink. So he's saying we could uh, sit down as friends and actually have a drink together. But ranged as infantry and staring face to face, I shot at him as he at me and killed him in his place. Infantry, girls, means a group of army men. So he's saying, but since we had joined the army, since we were face to face in the times of war, we ended up staring at one another face to face, and I ended up shooting at him. I shot at him, and resultantly, obviously, the other person that the poet shoots at, the narrator shoots at, ends up shooting also the narrator. And he's saying, but the narrator believes that he is lucky enough not to be killed, but this anonymous person that has been referred to he in the beginning of the poem, he is killed. Yani ke jo when the poet and the narrator, or the narrator, face to face aata hai to with this one person, so is insan ko he ends up killing. this anonymous person which is mentioned in the beginning of the poem. And then the poet justifies कि why did I kill him? I killed him because I was placed in that kind of situation. I was in war, and also because that this one person was my foe. Foe means enemy, girls. Again, a slightly older word in English for enemy. So then again, he's almost trying to convince himself here, the narrator. Just so my foe, of course he was. He's saying I had to kill him because if I wouldn't have killed him, he would have killed him. However, uh, the contemplation begins over here. Ab jo poet hai, he's sort of thinking that that's clear enough, although he thought he'd list perhaps of hand like, just as I. He's saying, but one thought that came to me after I killed that one person was that he had probably joined the war just offhand, like just like that, without putting much thought to it. And why did he actually join the war or became a part of the war? Because he was out of work. क्योंकि उसकी कोई नौकरी नहीं थी at that point in time. He did not have proper work, so he ended up becoming a part of the war, and also because he was out of work and had sold his trans means his tools, यानी कि उसके जो आलात थे वो भी उसने जो है sort of बेच दिए. इसलिए he was out of work and he ended up becoming a part of the war. No other reason why. And he's saying और मुझे समझ नहीं आती कोई वजह कि why he was actually there face to face with me during the time of war. And then again, the central philosophy जो है या central theme of the poem last four lines के अंदर आ जाती है. And he says, the poet says that yes, quaint and curious war is, यानी कि जो जंग है ये एक अजीबो गरीब चीज है. Quaint means unusual, curious means strange, and he says that you shoot a fellow down, you treat if met where any bar is, or help to half a crown. And he's saying अगर जिस इंसान को हम we end up killing during war, अगर हम इस fellow को probably मिले at some point in time somewhere, what would happen is that we could easily treat them at a certain place, or we could actually help them with half a crown. Half a crown is a reference to uh, a certain currency. So he's saying कि अगर हम इसी इंसान को जिसको we end up killing, if we meet them at a certain place, at a certain we would end up sharing a drink, or we could even end up helping one another if need be, in the form of half a crown. Again, half a crown, like I said, एक currency का reference है कि हम through money also I could have helped him. So this is, girls, the whole poem. I would repeat, the central theme in this poem is कि जो war है that brings in nothing but destruction, and we end up killing people without really knowing them. और उसका end result ये होता है कि हम probably later on contemplate करें कि इस इंसान से अगर हम अपनी day to day life में probably मिले, so we could easily be friends. So without knowing the nature of the person in front of us during war times, we end up killing them, because war का nature ही ये है कि एक तरफ दुश्मन होता है, वो foe होता है. So on one pretext or the other, हम किसी को जाने बगैर, पहचाने बगैर, we end up killing the other person. So this is the basic theme of this poem. अगर हम इसकी बेटा वो देखें, overall tone of the poem देखें, it is rather ironic. Irony is wherein the implied meaning is different from the intended meaning. यानी कि आप जो कह रहे हैं on the surface is probably different from what you're actually trying to say. So overall जो tone of the poem है वो ironic है. There's a bit of a sarcasm to it, especially when it comes to the nature of war, because जो poet है वो nature of war को question कर रहा है. अगर हम otherwise देखें तो ये each line जो है, each stanza is divided into four lines. each का एक stanza है जिसे हम in the language of English literature quatrain भी कहते हैं. QUATRAIN, quatrain, यानी 4 line stanzas हैं. और जो rhyme scheme है इस poem की girls, that is ABAB. That is, if you really look at it, the first line uh, and the third line rhyme. Met and wet rhyme. In and nipperkin sort of rhyme. So AB jo hai, that is the rhyme scheme of the poem. Thank you so much, girls. It is a short poem. It's relatively easy as compared to what you've done before. So I hope you understand. Thank you.